Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in this market or to just learn from the market. But first, let me give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, because y'all, we learn and we grow together. With that being said, let's get started. So we are looking at the VIX. I look at the VIX because it kind of gives me an idea of what's going on with the SPY. And as of right now, the VIX is moving sideways and seems like we've lost a little bit of support around that. So right now support is around 28.13. As you can see, this is where the body of the candles here. And again, y'all, I like to look at the 30-minute chart. It tells me a story that I like to read, right? So 28.13 is a support place. If we should break that level, we can come back to around 27.92. Breaking that brings us back to 27.77. Should we break that level, support is around 27.43. Not far from the ATR trailing stop I have here at 27.31. And if we should break that, 27.12 could be a support area for us. Now, back to the upside, if by chance we break above 28.63, we could possibly have trouble again around 28.84. Breaking that brings us back to around 29.09. And if we should break that, 29.22. What's interesting about the VIX is there's a few layers, let's say that, of resistance, starting with the 29.30, which is the 50 EMA, again on this 30-minute chart, all the way to the 29.72. So if we should break this 29.72 area again, we could possibly have trouble at the $30.29 area. Breaking that brings us back to around the 31.15. Now, again, normally when the VIX is down, the SPY is up. So let's go look at the SPY, and let me go ahead and give my disclaimer. My SPY charts are very congested because that's something I've been charting for the years. And again, when I'm in the trade, I kind of want to know where my possible trouble places are. So again, we're looking at the SPY. We closed at 530.542. It looks as if we have bounced off of this level of support at the 531.22, and it's been moving back to the upside, right? Seems like we had a little bit of trouble around that 535.95. It gave us a double top here, only to come back down and find support. So where are the trouble places as of now? It looks as if we need to stay up or get back above the 534.87. That is a trouble place, and we've been here before, as we can see, right? That 534.87. If we should break that level of support, we could possibly have trouble again. 535.16. And if we should break that, 535.61. Breaking that, 535.97. And if we should break that level, 536.29. Breaking that brings us back to 536.79. Again at 537.06. Breaking that 537.06, we could possibly have trouble 537.44, which is the ATR trailing stop. In my opinion, that's going to be a strong rejection area. So we definitely need to be careful there if you're trading the SPY today. Again, not financial advice, but however, if we should break that 537.44 for the SPY, we could very well come back to 537.85. And breaking that brings us back to around 538.42. Now back to the downside, let's say we get under this 5 EMA, that's kind of like holding us up now. If we break under, let's say 534.03, we could possibly have trouble 533.83, and under that 533.69, not far away, right? But if we should break that level, we could possibly find support at 533.10, and breaking that brings us back to around the 532.06. Breaking that 532.06, we have 531.86, and again 531.39, and that's kind of like where we have bounced from pre-market thus far. So if you're trading the SPY today, those are kind of areas to the upside and to the downside. Let's look at AMD today just to see where we are. We closed at $90.39, and you see here we just got rejected around off of that ATR trailing stop. So where are the trouble places? Back to the upside, if we break above this level here of $90.81, we could possibly have trouble $91.02. And if we should break that level, we could possibly have trouble around $91.42. Breaking that level brings us back to around the 91.91, and if we should break that, we could possibly have trouble 92.42. And if we break that 92.42 area, we could possibly have trouble 92.93. Breaking that brings us back to around let's say the 93.41, and if we break that 93.41, we could possibly come back and retest this area of 93.74. Now back to the downside. Let's say if we break under this 5 EMA as of now, 90.32 is our support. We see we just tried to test that and get rejected. That's interesting, right? So back to the downside, under 89.97, we could possibly have trouble 89.79, not far away. However, if we should break that level, we can come back to around this 89.38, and if we should break that level, 89.10, breaking the 89.10, 88.85, and if we break the 88.85 area, we could very well come back to around the 88.32. Breaking that level brings us back to 87.70. So if you're trading AMD today, those are areas to the upside and to the downside. Again, not financial advice. Let's look at Google, Alphabet Inc. C today. Google closed at 157.72, where the trouble places as of right now. We would need to get back above the 157.89. It looks like something stopped us at 158.12. So I need to watch that, right? Because we've been at that, kind of like in that area. 158.12, 158.07 area. If we should go, break back to the upside, continuing to the upside, 158.28 could be a trouble place, which is not far from that ATR trailing stop at 158.39. In my opinion, that's going to be a strong resistance area. If we should break that, we could possibly have trouble again somewhere around 158.69. Breaking that area, we could possibly have trouble 159.28. If we should break that around 159.56, not very far away. If we break that level, 159.95 could be a rejection area. If we break that 159.95, something stopped us here at this 160.02. So if you're trading Alphabet Inc. C, I would say trade carefully. Those are kind of areas to the upside. Now back to the downside. Let's say we break under the level of 157.17. We could very well come back and find support here around 156.96. As you can see, I'm going to see if I can mark that just so I can show how important it is for us to mark our levels. And y'all, it seems like for some reason when I try to do charting or add something to my computer, does something a little bit different, and that's okay. We're just going to roll with it today, right? So as of now, 157.22, as you can see, that's kind of like where the body of these candles are here. That's what I wanted to point out. So 157.17, we would definitely, or 157.20, 157.17, we'll kind of need to watch that area. If we should break that, we could very well come back to around 156.68. Breaking that 156.68 area, we can come back to around 156.25. If we should break that, we could possibly, 156.08, not very far away. However, if we should break that 156.08, we can come back to the 155.84, which is not far from the 200 EMA, again on this 30-minute chart at the 155.67. So if you're trading Google, Alphabet Inc. C, those are areas to the upside and to the downside. Y'all, I know I say so often, not financial advice. Alphabet Inc. A, GOOGL, it has been trading in a gathering spot for us. It looks like we broke down only to come back to the gathering spot, right? So kind of like moving sideways. Trouble places to the upside. We need to break back above 155.68. Breaking that level brings us back to around 156. Breaking that 156, we have 156.31. That is the ATR trailing stop. Strong resistance, right? So if we break that level, 156.49 could be a rejection area. If we should break that for Google or Alphabet Inc. A, 156.83, and breaking that 157.05. If we break that 157.05, 157.49 could be a rejection area. Now to the downside, if by chance we break under 154.81, we could very well come back to around 154.49, and if we break that level, 154.29 could be a trouble place. If we break that, 154.05 could be a trouble place, and if we should break that, we have 153.68 could be a support area for us, and breaking that 153.35, which is the 200 EMA as of now. And I would say if you're trading Google, GOOGL, or Alphabet Inc. A, these are levels that I would watch to the upside and to the downside. Again, y'all, not financial advice. We're now looking at Meta. Meta closed at 520.27. It's been trading in a zone here, like a little, from this line as support at around 517.03, resistance around the 519.45. So back to the upside, breaking the 519.45 area. We could very well, it's a lot of stuff going on here. So we could very well have trouble around the ATR trailing stop. Let's just say that at 522.79. Should we break that 522.79 area, we could very well come back to around 525.89. If we break the 525.89 area, we could possibly have trouble 528.97, and breaking that level kind of brings us back to around 532.81. And if we should break that 534.69, back to the other downside, if we break under 517.03, we could possibly find support again at 515.15, breaking that level 513.41, and breaking that brings us to around the 200 EMA as of now, 511.69. If we break that level 509.96, and breaking that brings us back to 507.77. So if you are trading Meta today, those are areas again to the upside and to the downside, not financial advice. We are looking at Netflix, and it's been trading sideways, y'all. So Netflix closed at $1,049.59. We just got rejected here pre-market off of this ATR trailing stop. So where are the trouble places as of now? It's kind of trading in a zone that I have marked support $1,041.13. We can say resistance is around $1,047.19 here, but there's another level here between that at the $1,043.88. Now, if by chance we get back above this ATR trailing stop $1,052.07, we could possibly have trouble again $1,055.84, and breaking that level $1,059.41 and $1,061.94. Those are kind of like resistance areas for Netflix. Should we break out of this little gathering spot here, back to the downside, let's say we break under $1,041.13, we could very well come back to around $1,036.28. And you'll see here, that's where this point and this point is kind of like meeting, $1,036.28. Now, if we should break that level, we could very well come back to $1,030.16, and again $1,025.78, $1,021.58, and $1,016.46. And that what's in between those two lines, we do have the 200 EMA around the $1,018.21. And let's see, I just want to see now, how much does Netflix move per day? $53.73. So if you get in Netflix at the right time and out at the right time, you can make a very decent profit, and it's just having the discipline to get in at the right time and out at the right time. So let's look at Tesla today. We closed at 250.74. Looks like we came down and bounced off of this ATR trail and stopped, y'all. In my opinion, very strong support, right? So we bounced off the 200 EMA and the ATR trail and stopped back to the upside, only to have some trouble in this area of 250.74. But we've been at this place before, so we definitely need to be careful. So where are the trouble places for Tesla back to the upside? We could possibly have trouble 251.57, breaking that 252.28. Should we break that level? 253.46. Again at 253.84, not very far away. Breaking that level, there's a few layers of resistance from the 254.76 to the 255.28, so we can get stopped along those lines there. Should we break the 255.28, 256 even could possibly be a rejection area, or 256.33, not very far away. Should we break that around the 256.98 and breaking that level 258.09. And y'all know I say Tesla does what Tesla does, right? Back to the downside, it looks as if, if we break under this level here of 248.96, and price was gathered there, a few times. So looks like we're having some sellers here. So definitely need to be careful now. Under the 249.05 area, we can find support 248.35, again 247.33, 246.55, breaking that 245.96, and if we should break that, it brings us back to 245.61, and then back to kind of like where we bounced from, you know, pre-market. So that 245 area, in my opinion, is going to be a strong support area for Tesla today. If we should break that 245 area, just know we can come back to 244, and under that 240.275. So if Tesla is something that you trade today, y'all know I say often, trade carefully. In this market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed, and I think we need to look at NVIDIA today. So NVIDIA is next on our list. We closed at 102.71. It too has come down and found support around this area of $100.61, only to bounce. It looks like kind of like Tesla's chart, right? Just a little. So where the trouble places, that 103.33 could be a rejection area. If we should break that level, 103.58, breaking that brings us back to 103.86. If we break that level, 104.15, breaking that brings us back to 104.48. And if we should break that, we could possibly have trouble 104.77, breaking that 105.06. Now for NVIDIA to the downside, under 102.46, we could possibly have trouble around the 102.05, and if we should break that, 101.75, breaking that brings us back to around the 101.56, not very far away. Should we break that level, we can come back to 101.15, and under that brings us back to $100.94, and breaking that $100.94 brings us back to our 430 candle. This today was around the $100.61. So if you are trading NVIDIA today, those are areas kind of to the upside and to the downside. So y'all, this is what I see when I look at the market. There's so many different ways to trade the market, and again, what's challenging is finding the strategy that works best for you and having the discipline to execute your plan. I always say, once it goes against your why, get out. Live to trade another day, and that means having your stop losses or whatever it is that you choose to use. Make sure you have the discipline to execute that. So I hope that everyone have a very profitable day, a very productive day. Again, if you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all, because we learn and we grow together. With that being said, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.